today we are having a look at continuing with what we've been working on for a while now and what you started on last week, and that is rules for relationships. So in this week's lesson, we're going to have a look at our spider diagrams. Okay, it's just a different way for them to represent relationship rules. And we're going to have a look at completing these first ones together. So you're going to do two together, and I'm going to let you do some by yourself. All right, let's get going. No time to waste. Number one, fill in the output values for the flowchart. So we've seen flowcharts before in our lessons, okay? Normally, I always remind you guys to take note of the direction that the arrows are pointing in. For this question, I'm noticing they didn't give me any arrows, but what I'm presuming, because we're moving in from here, this would be my inputs. Okay, and these numbers over here underneath this little weird alien guy would be my outputs. So I've got inputs on the left and I've got outputs on the right. All right, that means that what's happening is I'm coming into my inputs, moving along this way, and I'll get my outputs. Okay, so if we are starting with the number 1 and we're going forward from there, 1 times by 2, okay, 1 times by 2 gives me 2. 2 minus 5, guys, remember we've been practicing integers this year. I say to you guys, always give yourself a number line, okay? I'm at the number 2, and I want to subtract 5. So I've got 1, 0, -1, -2, -3, and I can carry on going on and on and on. It's always a good idea at the beginning of your maths test or your maths exam to draw a number line out for yourself so you've got it there on your page. If we're starting at the number 2, all right, and we're subtracting, if we're subtracting, it means that we are moving to the left. So we're going to go count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just like some of you have said in the chat, we're going to end up at -3. So my input for this one was 1. 1 times by 2 gave me 2. And 2 minus 5 gives me -3. All right. I am going to get rid of my number line here because it's a little bit in my way. So let's get rid of this number line for ourselves. I will go and fill the answer in there again for you. Our number line's just having, our pens are just having a bit of an issue today. So my first answer there was -3. So my next answer now, if I've got 2 times 2, 2 times 2 gives me 4, and 4 minus 5 will give me -1. Okay. 3 times 2 gives me 6, and 6 minus 5 will give me 1. Nice, well done everybody. So those are nice and easy. Let's have a look at the next one, and let's see B. So we're looking at our flow diagram. First, we're coming in this way with our inputs. We're moving along inside our little machine, and we're going to end up with our output. Let's see what's happening inside our actual machine though. So we're going to take our inputs, we're going to multiply by 2, and then it says plus, and in brackets, it's got -5. So that's a little bit of an issue for us, unless we've been in our lessons this whole term for Watobe and we've been paying attention. If you haven't been through the integer lessons, go watch on YouTube, because when I see a number and a bracket next to each other, what am I going to do? I'm going to go draw a circle around those. Now I've got a plus and a minus next to each other. So in the chat, tell me what happens when you've got a plus and you've got a minus negative. Nice, well done guys. When you've got a plus and a minus next to each other, they cancel each other out and I'm left with a negative. So let's have a look at my answers now. I'm going to have 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 minus 5 is going to give me -3. 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 minus 5 gives me negative 1. And 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 5 gives me 1. Are we noticing any sort of pattern between A and B, those two machines? Do they look kind of similar? All right. They definitely look similar. Okay. So all that was different there was that our negative 5 was in a bracket. We got rid of the bracket and then we went forward from there. I want you guys to have a look at C and D for me. Do not put the answers in the chat, but have a look at C and D for me. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to draw your attention to what Mr. Hugo has said in the chat about how to take a screenshot. He's put some really nice instructions there for you guys. So make sure you've had a look for when you want to take a screenshot just now. Okay. If there's anyone who wants to ask me a question in the meantime while everybody's having a look at C and D, this is the time for it. So if you have if you have a question, sorry, now's the time to raise your hand. Okay, I see we have Grace. Grace, what is your question?
Miss, I wanted to ask what we are doing right now because I just joined.
No problem, Grace. So what we are doing right now is you guys are going to complete C and D for me. So you having a look at doing the output. So here we have what we call, this will be your inputs. So you'll be taking this number, and I'll do the first one with you quickly to remind you. 1 times by 5 gives me 5. And then I'm moving on. 5 minus 2 will leave me with 3. So we're going from our input, Grace, all the way through our little machine to get to our outputs. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to you, Grace. All right, I am seeing that I've got Colafelo. Colafelo, do you have a question for me? Hi.
I'd like to ask ma'am, on number 1B, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I don't understand.
Okay, Colafelo, let's have a look at it. So I've got 1 times by 2 gives me 2. Hey, you happy with that? So
Yes,
1 times 2 gives me 2. And then I need to say 2 minus 5. So Colafelo, what's my favorite way to do these kind of questions when I have integers? What's Teacher Kirsty's favorite way? What do I always draw?
Ma'am, ways to draw. Ma'am,
I always draw a number line, hey? I'm so sorry, Colafelo, I can't really hear you very clearly, but I always draw a number line. Okay, so I'm going to draw a number line. I'm starting at 2, and I'm minusing, so I'm going the other way. So 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4 kind of vibes. All right. I'm at 2, and I need to subtract 5. So if I'm subtracting, I'm moving to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where do I end up, Colafelo, when I subtract 5 from 2?
minus 3, ma'am.
At minus 3. Does it make sense now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. I'm glad. All right. Let's answer. Yeah, no problem. Okay, let's answer one more question and then we're going to move on. So I say I've got Diego here.
Oh, ma'am, just a quick question, ma'am. After this class, ma'am, are we going to have a quiz?
After this class, no, it's a Monday. So on a Monday, we don't have a quiz. On a Monday, we have a poll question that comes up at the end of the lesson. On Wednesday, you will have another quiz again.
Thanks, ma'am.
No problem, sure. All right, so we're going to move on and we're going to have a look at what your answers were here. And let's see if you got them right. Okay, before I do that, is there anyone maybe who wants to do them with me? Who wants to give it a try? Who wants to give us their answers? Anybody? Okay, I saw a hand grab first. Dimple. Dimple, how are you?
I'm fine.
Good. Dimple, let's go have a look at this next one for C. Let's have a look. So, Dimple, what did...
We say 2 times 5 will give us 10. Minus
Good.
2 will give us 8.
Fantastic, Dimple. And what's your last one? What did you get for the last one?
I get 3 times 5 will give me 15.
Good.
Minus 2 will give me negative 13.
Well done, Dimple. Will give us 13. Well done. Thanks, Dimple. Okay. All right. So I'm moving on to the last one now, to D. Okay. While I do that, I'm going to bring up the next one for you guys so you can carry on trying. Who is going to help me with this next one now? I've got Christina. Christina, are you ready to help me with D?
Yes.
Okay, Christina, let's go. What did you say?
What I said was 1 minus 2, which then gave me sorry,
It's okay.
which gave me -1.
Good, nice.
And then I times that by 5, which gave me -5.
Fantastic. Thank you, Christina. Well done. Right, let's do the next one together, Christina.
So 2 minus 2 gives me 0.
Good.
And then times 5 is 0.
Very nice. Well done. Okay, and the last one, Christina, let's go.
3 minus 2 gives me 1. And then
Good.
1 times 5 equals 5.
Nice. Well done. Thank you, Christina. Thank you for the help.
You're welcome.
All right. So I'm going to move down to the next two for you guys. All right. Go and try those first. I see that I've got Melakushle that wants to help me. Melakushle, I will call on you as soon as I've given everybody a chance to have a look at E and F. So go and have a look at E and F, everybody. Go have a look at E and F. All right, while you're doing E and F, I'm going to ask if we can just put the hands down again, Mr. Hugo, and I'm going to ask if anyone has any questions for the last two questions, if that's okay. All right, so if you have questions about the last two, number C and D, if you have questions for C and D, now's your time to ask me a question. If you want to raise your hand to ask me questions on C and D, now's your chance. Okay, everybody okay, it looks like though. All right, I see we've got one question here. No, hand is gone. Okay, person changed their mind. All right. Okay. Oh, there we go. Ramoto, do you have a question for me?
Yes, ma'am, I do have a question, ma'am.
Sure. What's your question?
I don't understand number C.
Number C. Okay, let's have a look. So I'm just going to go up to number C quickly from Ramoto. All right, Ramoto, which one don't you understand?
Ma'am, I don't understand how you did 2 times 5 minus 2, ma'am.
Okay, so let's have a look at the first one. Let's see. All right, so Ramoto, you with me, hey? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Ramoto,
ma'am.
let's start at 1. Okay, we're going to start at 1. So what's 1 times by 5?
It's 5.
Ramoto? It's 5. Good. I'm going to put him over here for you. Okay. All right. And now, what's 5 minus 2? What's 5 minus 2? Ramoto? Okay, I think maybe we might have lost Ramoto. His signal seemed quite bad. So Ramoto, I'm hoping you're following with me. 5 minus 2 will give me 3. So then I'm going to say my next one. Okay, I'm going to go say 2. So I've got 2 times by 5 will give me 10. And 10 minus 2 will give me 8. And lastly, I'm going to have 3 times by 5 will give me 15. And 15 minus 2 gives me 13. Okay, Ramoto, does that make sense to you? All right, I think maybe we've lost Ramoto in the chat. Okay, Kolofelo, are you asking me a question or do you want to help me answer?
Teacher, I want to ask a question.
Okay, what's up?
Yes, ma'am. Teacher, is it true that, ma'am, if we have 2 minus on the diagram, is it true that is it plus?
That's right, good, well done. Do you remember that from
Ma'am,
my English lesson?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
Why?
yes, ma'am. Why do we say so in mathematical?
Okay, let's have a look. Are you ready? I'm just going to put you on mute so we can have a look. Okay. All right, so Mr. Hugo's put a really nice summary of it on the side there for you, but I'm going to go and I'm going to make you a note here as well. So don't ever forget that when you have a positive, okay, times by a positive, when the signs are the same, Ramoto, when the signs are, I'm sorry, not Ramoto, sorry, Kolofelo, when the signs are the same, what's going to happen? A positive times a positive will leave me with a positive. Okay, when you have signs that are different, so a positive times a negative, now what happens? When the signs are different and you're saying a positive times a negative, what do we always say? We say that the negative is more powerful here. So a positive times a negative will give me a negative. And so if I had this, if I had a negative times by a positive, well, then what do I know? I know the signs are different. And in maths, when I've got a negative times a positive or a positive times a negative, what do I always know? What sign is more positive? What sign is more powerful? It's the negative sign.
Negative.
Okay. So
Yes, ma'am.
now, Kolofelo, if I have a negative and I'm multiplying that by a negative, tell me, are the signs different or the signs the same?
They are the same.
They're the same. And what happens when I've got signs that are the same? What's my answer going to be?
Plus.
A plus. Good.
Yeah, a positive.
That's why we know how it works.
Yes, ma'am. Teacher, my sister here, he wanted to give you an answer. She
wanted to give me the answer for number D. I mean for E. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's have a look. You are on my line, so let's go. Let's have a look at E. Where is your sister?
Here.
Are you there? Okay, let's go. Tell me, first of all, let's go sort this out quickly. Let's go say to ourselves, I've got a negative and a negative there. So I'm going to cancel those out, and a negative times a negative will give me a positive. All right, so first we've got that going, hey? Okay, now, Kolofelo sister, do you want to help me with the rest?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's go. What is our first one?
Our first one will be 1 times 2, which will give us 2. And then when we
Good.
add by 5, it will give us 7.
Nice, well done. So 1 times 2 is 2 plus 5 gives me 7. Nice. Okay, let's do the next one together.
Then 2 times 2 will give us 4, and then when we add it by 5, it will give us 9.
Nice, well done. Okay, and the last one, let's try the last one together.
3 times 2 will give us 6, and then when we plus it by 5, it will give us 11.
11, fantastic. So just thank you very much, Kolofelo sister. Well done. I'm so glad that you're also joining in our lesson today. Just as a reminder to everybody, once again, from what we've just done, when I see a positive and a positive next to each other, what do I need to remember? I need to remember that I draw a circle around those. Because the signs are negative and negative, we're going to cross those out and it's going to become a positive. All right, I'm going to give you a few seconds just to finish the next one for me. I'm going to give you a few seconds just to finish the next one for me. Maybe you are finished, but I'm going to give you a few seconds quickly to finish that next one for me. Okay, go ahead and try that one for me before I ask somebody to help me. Okay, I hope you are ready to answer this question. I'm seeing lots and lots of hands up, so let us have a look. Okay, who is going to help me out? Let me have a look. I know that somebody did ask me first just now. Let's have a look. Who was it that asked me if they could help? So far behind in the chat, I can't find it. Oh, there we go. Okay, Melakushle. Melakushle, is your hand up somewhere? I don't see you anywhere. Where can I find you? Oh, there we go. Okay, Melakushle, you should be able to unmute yourself. Do you want to help me with number E? Or F, sorry, with F. Melakushle? I'm going to give Melakushle 2 seconds. All right, I don't see Melakushle coming back. Let's see who else I've got here that I haven't heard from today. What about Boitamelo? Boitamelo, do you want to help me with F's answers? Boitamelo, you should be able to unmute yourself. Okay. So I don't see Boitamelo coming back up. Let us try Jenna. Jenna, do you want to give it a try and help us out with F?
Yes, please, ma'am.
Okay, let's go, Jenna. Let's go with F.
Okay, for number 1, I first had to circle the plus and the minus by,
Fantastic.
and then I crossed it out and I made it into a negative.
Fantastic. Well done. Okay,
And then
let's go.
number 1, okay, 1 times 2 minus 5 equals negative 3.
Good. Well done. So negative 3. Right. Next one.
And then 2 times 2 is 4 minus 5 is negative 1.
Great.
And then
Blossom.
3 times 2 is 6 minus 5 equals 1.
Good. Well done. Very good. Well done, everybody. So I hope that you all got the right answers there. Thank you so much, Jenna, for your assistance. Okay. So now that we've managed to put them through our little machine, okay, now we're going to have a look at the next step in this. Now, if you've been in our classes the last few weeks, we've been working on how to work out rules. All right. So the first question says to us, describe each of the rules in question 1 in words. So describe each of these rules in words. Describe each of the rules in words. So what does that mean? Well, let's go up to the first one. Okay. If I'm describing A in words, well, what did I do in A? I took the input number, or I took the term. Okay, so if we remember this from when we did our terms, remember we would call this N, also known as your position. Sorry, not your term, your position. Okay, so I took in the position number, all right? And what did I do? I took the position number, multiplied it by 5, and multiplied it by 2, apologies, and subtracted 5. So if I'm going to write out the rule, I'm going to say multiply the position number by 2 and minus, or if you want to sound fancy, you can say subtract. Either word is the same, and minus 5. So for the first rule, what did we do? We multiplied the position number by 2 and we minus 5 to get the term. Multiply the position number by 2 and minus 5, and that gave us the term. So I want you guys to go have a look, do all of your rules for me. So write them out in words. That was number 1. Go have a look at B. I'm going to give you a few seconds to have a look at B. C. Nice. Let us have a look at B. So I want to do another one with you, and then I'm going to let you go and go try it. So for B, what am I going to do in B? I would say multiply the position number by 2. And now we need to be a little bit sneaky here. We need to go back and see what this was originally. So what happened originally? I multiplied the position number by 2, and actually I added negative 5. So I multiplied the position number by 2, and I must remember that what did I actually do? I added negative 5 to that. All right. So I've done 2 for you guys. I want you to have a look at C and D for me. I see that Grace, you have your hand up. How can I help, Grace?
Miss, I wanted to ask if we're only doing this or there's more work we're going to do.
So today we're going to do this, and then we're going to revise over our writing it as a rule, and then we will be done for our lesson.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
No, what are you looking for, Grace? Are you looking for something specific? Are you writing
No,
a
Miss.
test, or are you
No,
sure?
Miss, my exams are finished. It's just
Your
that like
exams are finished.
yes.
Fantastic. Thank goodness exams are finished. That's great, Grace. I'm so glad
Thank
you're
you,
still in
Miss.
class though. Thank you. Okay. All right, let's have a look at the next one quickly. So the next one, what am I doing? Once again, I'm going to, oh, let's not write in red. It's such an awful color, hey? We want to multiply the position number by 5. And again, if you want to be fancy, you can use the word and subtract 2, or you can just say and minus 2. Do you have to write the number out in words? No, not unless they say so, okay? Or if your teacher is super strict, then yes, but otherwise writing it as a number is perfectly fine. Okay, let's have a look at D. Hopefully you got D right as well. Just going to go fix them quickly. So for D, okay, what happened in D? We subtract, whoopsie daisy. Or you can use the word minus, remember? So we subtract 2 from the position number and then multiply by 5. So a little bit different, that one. Little bit different. Okay. All right. Have a look at E for me, and I'm going to ask for some help for E. So let's see who we've got here on the chat. Boitamelo, I see you back. Boitamelo, do you want to help me do E in words? Boitamelo, are you unable to, or are you able to unmute yourself? It should be asking you to unmute. Okay, I think maybe Boitamelo might be having a problem with her sound. So I'm going to go with Jabulile. Jabulile, do you want to help me with E to find the words?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, I think it's gonna be multiply the position by 2 and add it by 5 and add 5.
Okay, good. So
The
multiply. Well done.
sign
The position number by 2. So I fully agree with you for that one. The only place where we are going to disagree here, you and I, is Jabulile, when it comes to this one here, what were we actually doing before we went and did our magic rule? What were we actually doing? We were minusing -5. Do you agree, Jabulile?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so when we write it out in rules, we must make sure that we're using the original words, okay? So multiply the position number by 2, I agree with you. And then we're going to say subtract, or minus is also fine to say, subtract -5. Does that make sense, Jabulile?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, I'm glad. All
Thank
right,
you, ma'am.
thank you for the help. Okay, let's finish off this last one, and then we're going to see our last part for what we're doing today. So my last part for what I'm going to do today, I'm going to show you very quickly on the board. So we are going to multiply the position number by 2 and minus positive 5. Okay, could you just say -5? That's also fine as well. If you are writing the numbers out in words, that's also okay. Like I said, it all depends on your school and your teacher, what your teacher wants you to do. If it was me, I'd be happy for you to write it the way that you are writing it now. So the last part of this says to us, create a formula for each of the rules in question 1. Create a formula for each of the rules in question 1. All right. So create a formula for each of these rules, guys. Create a formula for each of these rules. So let me help you out with the first one. Okay, you would have seen in our last lesson last week that when we are doing maths relationships, that we're going to be dealing with the numbers x and y, that if you've done it with n's and tn's, that's also good. Okay, it's good practice. So I'm going to do it with x's and y's, and I'm going to show you how you would do it with n's and tn's. So we're going to go and say to ourselves that for the first one, y is going to be equal to, what were we doing? We were saying x times 2 minus 5. X times 2 minus 5. Let's check and make sure that works. So if x is 1, then I'm going to have y is equal to 1 times 2 minus 5. So 1 times 2 is 3, and 1 times 2 is 2, apologies, 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 minus 5, does that give me -3? Yes, it does. If we had to change this up, okay, and we had to say, well, 3 So y, 3 times 2 gives me 6, and 6 minus 5, does it give me my answer of 1? Yes, it does. So the rule is going to be y is equal to x plus 2 minus 5. What's another way that we can write that we practiced during the week before last? We practiced doing it a numbers pattern way. So we said Tn is equal to n times 2 minus 5. Okay. N times 2 minus 5. All right, I'm going to do the next one for you, and then I'm going to ask you to try by yourself. So again, if I call this one x, and I call this one y, well then what's my rule going to be? I'm going to say y, which is my output, is equal to x times 2 plus negative 5. Y is equal to x plus 2, sorry, x times 2 plus negative 5. Right, how do I write that as a number pattern? I would normally say Tn equals n times 2 plus negative 5. Same thing, except now we're using x's and we're using y's. All right, let's do C and D with you guys, and then I'm going to let you try the last one by yourself, the last two by yourself, and I'm going to ask questions. Okay, so again, if this is x and this is y, then I'm going to say y is equal to x times by 5, because that's what I did first, minus 2. X plus 5 minus 2. Right. And my last one is a little bit different than the ones you've been doing before. Let's have a look at how it's different. So this is still my x, this is still my y. I'm going to say y is equal to, right. What am I doing first now? First, I'm going to put a bracket. I'm going to say x minus 2. Why am I putting a bracket, guys? Because we've got BODMAS, and we know that if we had no brackets, then we would, of course, need to go and do the multiplication first. But in this case, what happened first? We needed to minus 2 first before we go and multiply by 5. So we put some brackets just to protect that first rule. Okay, I'm going to erase the rules from the top here, and I'm going to let you guys try the last ones. I see that I have some hands up for some questions. So I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions in the meantime while you're busy working on those last two. So, Shakina, how can I help?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
So, ma'am, I wanted to ask, you did say that when we get a negative and a negative, it will become a positive, right?
That's correct.
Does that mean when you get a positive and a positive, will it become a negative or will it stay the same?
It'll stay the same, Shakina. So if the signs are the same, if it's a positive and a positive, your answer will be positive. If it's a negative and a negative, those signs are the same, it'll be a positive. But the moment that the signs are different, Shakina, if you've got a positive and a negative, then my answer is going to be negative. And if you have a negative and a positive, then the answer will be negative as well.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, no problem. All right. Vernie Lee, do you have a question?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, if I may ask, what is the value of x?
What is the value of x? So the value of x is going to change each time, Vernie Lee. So let's try this one together. Stay on the line with me. So I've got, this is x and this is y. So all it means is that these are my input numbers and y will be my output numbers, hey?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to say my output is equal to if I had to take x, which is my position number, and I multiplied that by 2, and then I subtracted -5. So in other words, Renee, that means that now I can substitute anything into x. So if I had to go and substitute 2 instead of seeing x, then I would have y is equal to, instead of seeing x, what am I going to see? I'm going to see 2, hey?
Yes, ma'am.
So 2, okay, times by 2 minus -5. So let's do that sum together, Bernie. What's 2 times 2?
4, ma'am.
4, good. And if I go and I draw my little circle around here, I see I've got 2 negatives, so I cross that out, it becomes a positive. So 4 plus 5, what does 4 plus 5 give you?
10, ma'am.
4 plus 5, try again for me. What's 4 plus 5?
9, sorry, ma'am.
9, that's okay, it's fine. So I've got y is equal to 9, hey? Let's go check, Renee. When we did this earlier on, we said 2 times 2 gives me 4, and then we did our plus 5, and it gave me
9.
Does it make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. All right. So moving on to my last one, everyone. So I've got, for this one, I'm going to say, again, I'm going to have x and I'm going to have y over here. So I'm going to say y is equal to x times by 2 minus +5. So I hope that you guys got all of those ones right. I hope that you guys got all of those correct, okay? And that today's lesson you managed to keep up. You managed to answer some questions, all right? We have 3 more minutes left that I'm going to answer some questions in, and Mr. Hugo is going to put up the poll for you guys as well. If I don't get to your questions, please, 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 Mr. Hugo will open up the chat. I know that he closed it because there was some chat going on that didn't have anything to do with the class. So first of all, go answer the poll for yourselves. And then secondly, I'm going to answer some questions. If I don't get to your question, please make sure that you put it in the chat and we will answer your questions on Wednesday. So if you have answered the poll and you don't have any questions, you are more than welcome to log off to the lesson. I will see you guys on Wednesday. All right. Dimple, do you have a question for me?
Yes, ma'am.
What's up?
Ma'am, I don't understand F.
Don't understand F. Okay, Dimple,
Yes.
what's up with F?
What, ma'am?
Is it just the rule, or you didn't understand how we did the sum?
No, how did you get the rule?
How did I
And
get
the
the
sum.
rule? And the sum. Okay.
Yep.
So first of all, I used the machine that they gave me, this whole little machine thing. And I said, I must take my x, my input, my position or my input, times it by 2. So for the first one, 1 times 2 gave me 2. And then remember, Dimple, what happens when I have a positive and a negative next to each other? What does this become?
A negative.
A negative. Good. So 2 minus 5 will give me?
2 minus 5 will give you -3.
-3. Good. So to get to the output, to get to y, what did I do? I said x times by 2. And then I'm going to go back to the original. And then I subtracted +5. All right. So if we look at the rule that we wrote, we said y equals x. So this will be the x times by 2 minus +5. Does it make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Thank you, Dimple. Yeah.
Wish some of us luck because tomorrow I'm still busy writing exams.
Say it again for me, Dimple.
Tomorrow some of us are still writing exams.
Some of you are still writing exams. Good luck, Dimple.
Yes.
Have you written maths yet?
No, tomorrow I'm writing tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Good luck, Dimple. I know that you're going to do really well because you always ask questions and you always make
Yes,
sure you
ma'am.
do all the questions. So well done, and I'm sure you're going to do really well, okay? Remember,
Yes, ma'am.
stay nice and calm, take some deep breaths, and remember all the rules we've been working on, hey?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Dimple, thanks. See you on Wednesday. All right. Vuya? Vuya, what's your question? You are unmuted.
Oh, my mom was asking if Watobe has she's
I'm so sorry, Vuya. Your line is breaking up a little bit. Do you want to try asking again? Just try once more. Mom was asking?
Ma'am, my mom was asking if Watobe has teaches subjects other than math.
Okay, I think I got it. Mom was asking, you can just nod your head if I'm right. Mom was asking if Watobe does other subjects other than maths. Is that right? I think that's what you're asking me, hey? Okay, so unfortunately,
Yeah.
Watobe, okay, thanks, Vuya. So unfortunately, Watobe only does maths at the moment. If you're wanting, if you've got a suggestion, what a good idea is maybe to send a message to the chat, ask Mom to send a message to Watobe, or send them an email. That would be a really good suggestion. Okay, hope that helped. All right, guys, I am answering one more question, and then what I'm going to ask you to do is if you do have any questions, please can you make sure that you write them in the chat. So I'm going to answer one more question, and then I'm going to ask you to put your questions in the chat. So, Umushle, what's your question?
Miss, I came late, Miss, today, Miss. Where, Miss, would I find the Miss? Where, Miss, would I catch up, Miss?
Okay, so if you came late to today's lesson, remember all the lessons for Watobe will be on YouTube. So this lesson will probably be available first thing tomorrow morning, if not in the afternoon. And Mr. Hugo did put it in the chat earlier on, but I will ask him if he can just put it again, the YouTube link. And then another place where you can go and watch this lesson is you can go onto Watobe's website, and all the lessons are on Watobe's website.
Yes,
Okay,
Miss. What's
there we
Miss?
go.
What
Pardon me?
Miss, what Miss is to search, Miss?
What
Miss
words
using
must you
it.
search? So when
Yes,
you
Miss.
get to YouTube, Mr. Hugo's actually put it so that you don't have to search for anything. You go straight to Watobe, all right? But when you get to YouTube, you look up Watobe, and you'll find the channel there for Watobe. On Wednesday, we're going to go through how to find them again on the website, okay? On Watobe, on YouTube.
Thank you,
Okay, no
Miss.
problem, no problem.